their propaganda is everywhere. Their eugenics propaganda, they're now selling us, and they're already putting it in your water and your food and your vaccines. And for all of you out there that serve this system and believe in this system and like this system, for all of you out there who are into this, you are being attacked as well. That's the most important point I could make. Now, let me continue to go over this. The history, and I'm just going to be brief about this. There it is, forced sterilization in Peru. Committee on Women, Population, and Environment. That's a non-governmental UN organization right there telling you about it. Yeah, you can pull up the name of any country, Nigeria, Brazil, the United States. Pull up forced sterilization of women in the United States. It's still going on, by the way. They drug these women up out of their minds. They do thousands of them a month still. And then they say, oh, sign a form, we can sterilize you, then we'll let you go. Then they tie her tubes and throw her back out on the street. And again, they've got their excuses. Oh, this is white trash, or, you know, this is a poor black lady. They deserve it. It's the precedent it sets, folks, and they're doing it to you. So get yourself a big glass of tap water and just, I love being self-medicated and all the other health problems it gives you. And this is the stuff we know they're doing. So the history of this is 150 years ago, Sir Galton and others in England developed this plan of eugenics. By the turn of the last century, 109 years ago, it was adopted. The Rockefeller family, the Rothschild family, and the Saxe-Coburg-Gothas, the elites had always believed in breeding and genetics and that their bloodlines were best, even before they had the term genetics. You know, kings and queens intermarrying, interbreeding, believing they had the royal bloodline. I assure you kings and queens exist. Now, that's the history of it. They then loved the scientists that told them, you're the elites, you're the God race, you're the best, these are all inferior, we've got to cull them. Many other societies had done that. The Israelites had culled their enemies when they came into Israel. The Babylonians would cull their enemies. When they finally beat Hannibal, the Romans, they culled and killed whole cities. Julius Caesar in the Battle for Gaul talks about wiping out whole groups. Very old, ancient human instinct, total war to kill all your enemies. And so they cold-bloodedly decided, we will create an environmental movement 110 years ago, set up by John D. Rockefeller. He coined the term environmental movement and conservation. Nothing to do with it. It was all about stealing land and property. They then set up eugenics. By 1910, they were already killing babies out of the womb. The doctor would come and kill the baby, the poor person's baby. By the 1920s, if you made less than a B+, you were taken and sterilized. Hundreds of thousands a year. That's all mainstream news. I have the newsreels announcing how good it is. The government paid for newsreels are in my film saying how great it is in game. That this is U.S. government. Before the movies and before they had TV, they would show newscasts. Before the movies, it's in here how they're killing you. And then Hitler went a little too quick, and it kind of freaked people out when they saw the piles of dead bodies. And so Julian Huxley and Bertrand Russell and the King of England and others all met and said, we've got to figure out a way to sell people on doing this where they like it. And they said, well, Mr. Rockefeller has the plan of environmentalism. We'll teach them humans are bad, teach them we're overpopulated, teach them we're all going to die if we don't do this. Now they have all the dramas and TV shows and dystopic science fiction movies where they tell you this. And so they take your survival instinct and turn it against itself and say, we've got to get rid of humans or we're all going to die. And they have these situational ethics games like Survivor on TV, but that's a bigger model of Lifeboat or Spaceship. It's a game that public schools nationwide teach in the 5th, 6th, and 7th grade. I was indoctrinated in government programming myself. And they say there's a lifeboat. It's a federal grant. And there's only enough food for 5 people, but there's 10. And so we're going to have to vote on who dies. So they don't teach you to get outside the box, figure out how to survive, put up a plastic sail to collect rainwater, or, you know, things like that. They just teach you somebody's going to have to die. So it teaches you to think through solutions by killing fellow humans. And then in the game, they go, we need a social worker, we need a doctor, we need a bureaucrat. But they're taught that the artist dies and the antisocial person dies. And And then sometime in the class, they teach us at university as well, someone resists being killed, and then they have someone who plays the part of a policeman who kills you. So your children are being simulated to murder you. And we're being simulated to take our old people and get rid of them. It's all murder, death, kill, basic programming. Hope you enjoy it. They now have more hardcore Soviet re-education camp where every major public school in the country I've seen in elementary school, normally fourth grade, third to fourth grade, they run in with police in camo saying, I'm homeschoolers for the Second Amendment, here to kill you. That's AP. Don't believe me? And they scream, we're homeschoolers when we're going to murder you. And then the parents always freak out because they're not told. The kids aren't told it's real. They defecate on themselves, go into catatonic states, are brain damaged and mentally ill for decades afterwards in many cases. And the federal grant is to create a psychotic break and to basically create a psychosis and make the children mentally ill. So that's a hardcore Soviet re-education camp, similar to type programming that the North Koreans would engage in. Again, it's all just incredibly hardcore. And remember, Times of London, Millionaire Club and bid to curb overpopulation. Now, here's Rockefeller in the London Independent yesterday. Rockefeller Foundation, climate change will cause civilization to collapse. Well, they are artificially collapsing civilization is what is going on. See, and the globalists brag about this, and NPR even brags. Yeah, the global slowdown is good for the environment because it shuts down our carbon footprint and teaches us to live within our means. And Al Gore and Prince Philip and Prince Charles all say that, and you can Google the headline, global slowdown or global depression, good for environment, good for carbon footprint. In fact, let's put that on screen for folks. And I'm showing you, the guys are finding these in like 20, 30 seconds. You can do the same thing. You don't have to believe any of what I'm saying. So they want to make you totally bankrupt, totally dependent on them so they can carry out their black op extermination of you and your family. So I'll finish up with kind of the overview of this plan when we get back. Then we've got a guest coming up as well. I'm Alex Jones. You're under eugenics attack. You might want to wake up and realize they're putting poison in your water and food to kill you.